Yeah, it was like podcasting or whatever.
Yeah, no one cares.
I'm
About
not
the
even sure.
name.
I'm not even sure how many people watch this.
I think it was like a total 18 views. Oh, that was
Oh,
pretty good. Yeah,
yeah, that's like 1/6 of what my most viewed thing is.
yeah, although, to be honest, your most viewed thing is like 30 seconds long.
It's an entire 2-minute video about my friend screams. I think it's perfectly justified.
I think it should be burned, but that's not what we're here for today.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Well, oh, we were going to talk about my, endless self-loathing and just complete depression.
Oh, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
I'm not
um,
sure how that works though.
basically I just sit here and cry for 30 minutes. So, can you set the
Do you
timer?
mind if I record it? Do
Yeah,
you mind if I? Yeah. Oh, okay.
I am recording it.
Oh,
That's kind of the point.
please send me the audio file so I can make
Yeah,
another dumb video.
yeah. Um, no, but seriously, we're gonna talk about some stuff. Like, you
Yeah.
know how there's that mini Nintendo Entertainment System out?
Uh, yeah, the NES Classic, right?
Yeah, it's that thing that yeah, it's basically this crappy little thing for 60 bucks that has 30 NES games. I
Huh.
don't
I mean, that's like $2 per game, and that's actually quite a good
Yeah,
deal when you think about it.
I know.
Because some games on the Virtual Console cost like $10.
Mhm. I personally wouldn't get it. I have a bit I mean, I I've heard that some emulators online are pretty good. I've heard.
I mean, I
So,
feel like this is just a way that Nintendo. This is just a thing that Nintendo did to stop piracy, right? Because a lot
yeah.
of people say stuff like, "Oh yeah, uh, you know, the games aren't for sale anymore," and so on and so forth. But now that's not exactly an excuse. So
Yeah.
you're people just see you as a bad person if you don't buy the console.
I know. I think it's more of a novelty thing, a bit more like people that are
Oh
a bit
yeah,
more
of
into
course.
retro games. Um,
And I like the design of it. It's actually
yeah.
the
It
old NES was really big and clunky, but this one is just nice and small. And
mhm.
I feel like if this was it's like a plug and play console now.
Basically that's what it is.
It's just a little, overpriced, and that's my only problem with it.
Yeah. Getting to the price about it, there have been people that have gone, bought pretty much everything, every single one of them from a store, and are selling them for like $3,000.
What?
Actually, $3,000.
That
Not
why?
because they can. Like, you know that whole thing with what were they called? Like it was
The
that
amiibos?
yeah, that's basically the same thing.
Oh,
It's just Nintendo, they didn't give stores enough, so now stores are well, now people are buying all of them and jacking up the price.
I mean, my friend got a copy of the NES Classic for a regular price, and I
Hmm.
just kind of assumed that no one was doing that, and no one would be, quite frankly, dumb enough to do that.
Oh no, people are quite stupid.
All right then.
Never, never underestimate the human ability to be stupid, my friend.
Yeah, evident by my Ronald McDonald videos
Yeah,
I've been
no, we're
sending
not
you.
going to talk about that. That's
Please.
we're not.
It's art. You don't understand it. It's art. It's art.
I throw up better pieces of art. Okay. When
It's
I
art.
chew up food and spit it out, that is a better work of art.
Shh, shh. It's art. Okay?
When when I'm on a long car ride
Uh-huh.
and I don't make it to the bathroom in time, That is more art. My pants are art there. If that Ronald McDonald thing is art. Okay? Just don't talk about it. Just don't. It's
For
not a
those
good
of you
idea.
curious, it's in the description.
Don't. It's not.
Yes, it is. But now that we
Don't.
talked about it, we got no choice.
Fine. Well, fine. Okay, I'll put an I'll also put a link to eBay for the $3,000 um NES
Yeah,
Classic. So if any of you
I mean,
guys wanna pick that up,
buy it. I mean, a similar thing happened with the Amiibos. Like, just Nintendo wasn't prepared for this many people to buy what they were making.
eh, some people speculated that it was kind of intentional.
I mean, why would it be intentional? Think about it. It's not making a profit to Nintendo.
Yeah, but the thing is, it builds up like artificial hype. So like when there is a new batch, it goes immediately.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if they if they were doing this right,
Hmm.
it would be more beneficial to them to how how quickly did all of them become sold out?
Um, some stores sold out. I think probably. I don't know how quickly they sold out, but I would assume first day they were out.
Eesh.
First,
I
second day.
I feel like it would be more beneficial for them if they at least had enough for I don't know, maybe 4 days, possibly.
Yeah, that's we're definitely trending into. We're moving into economics where we're trying to
It's funny because we don't know anything about economics.
uh,
We're
I
just full
mean,
shits.
really, like, if they perfect the formula of how much they produce and how much are being sold, then definitely creating artificial demand could very much be profitable. But again, it's like if they're producing none, then yeah, that would be stupid. But I don't,
Honestly, I don't think that the NES Classic is. I feel like it's just not on their priorities, you know?
yeah, it isn't.
Because at this point, they're just kind of making this a side project instead of an actual
Yeah.
kind of plug and play console that they should be paying attention to,
Hmm.
which is I wouldn't say concerning, but it's definitely not the most ideal situation for Nintendo, and it kind of impacts their reputation as a company.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. Um, but also the Switch. There was a new trailer for the Switch that came
Oh
out.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that was a cool trailer.
I feel like they were marketing to the wrong group though. But then again, you can't really make a commercial of someone just holding a Switch while taking a crap in the bathroom. That's not exactly. That's not exactly advertising.
That is that is depressingly true. That is, yeah, I would still buy it.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm buying it.
hmm I don't
No
know if I'll
question.
buy it. I'd have to see what games are coming out for it. But yeah,
I know for a fact that it does have a few Wii U games, or maybe a few Wii U games ported to it because you know the new Zelda game, right? The Breath of the
Breath.
Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, you know they kind of showed it being an actual playable game that's on the Switch, and I feel like maybe it'll just be an extent, kind of an upgrade to the Wii U, which it basically is. It's just what everyone thought the Wii U would be, but in this case, we just don't know yet. So
Yeah. It's kind of the thing with Nintendo. They never really do release enough information.
prior to the release, and when and I feel like that's a kind of a big problem for them because a lot of people start speculating, right, and being like, "Oh yeah, this is gonna be so good," right? And they never meant to make it seem well. Maybe they did, but it would be kind of harmful to their reputation if they did so. They I'm gonna go on a limb here and I kind of assume that they wanted people to speculate that this is going to be like the new thing.
Yeah,
And it comes out and it's not. It's subpar at best. That would impact their company's reputation. But if they kind of release a few more details, like, oh, this won't do this, and this does have this, but just releasing more details, I feel like that would bring people's expectations more into reality, and instead of like, oh, this is gonna be so cool, and just bring it down to, oh, that seems neat instead of, yeah.
yeah, but there's also the danger of not just people speculating good things, but people speculating bad things, saying, "Oh, the Nintendo Switch is going to be the worst console ever. It's horrifically underpowered. Don't buy it." Which will also drive away sales because there will be people from a dedicated like fan base or like a who really trust like an art like a news site or a like a tech channel, and they'll
Mhm.
hear all these terrible predictions. The Switch is gonna suck, and they just won't really consider it, and it'll sort of go out of their mind.
Yeah, and in the first day of the Switch release, the trailer that was released, there were like several 100,000 views, right?
Yeah, it was.
And
It's definitely a popular trailer.
it was on like number. It was in the top five of trending at one point, right?
Hmm.
And then it just kind of died out. People stopped talking about it. I mean, we're talking about it right now, and several other people are talking about it. But it's gotten to a point where the hype is kind of simmered down, and we're just kind of waiting. And those who speculate are speculating, but aside from that, everyone else is just going on with their normal lives, not really talking about it much.
If I were Nintendo, I would probably release another trailer in a
Yeah,
month, couple of weeks, just to keep that like excitement up. Not
yeah,
like
and
tomorrow, but yeah,
and
just
instead of making it, you know, as vague as possible, which they kind of did with the Switch trailer, I feel like they should release more details. Maybe it's fine if it's just two or three, but they gotta release some kind of information.
yeah. That's
And they did with the original trailer, but that's just the basics of the basics. We need to know more.
yeah. It shows it's a portable console. It shows there are some games that might be on the Switch. Apparently, those games aren't confirmed. They were just used for marketing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just show it basically it showed everything that people already knew.
What I want to know personally about the Switch is, will, because there's one screen, right? But you see the one screen come with two controllers.
Hmm.
Say you buy more than one controller so you can play with like four people. Is there going to be something on the Switch that you can kind of slide in two extra controllers, or you're just going to have to carry that in a bag? Because that would be kind of a nuisance.
Oh, are you saying so that you can attach multiple controllers to the portable part of the Switch?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Um,
Because in the trailer you see just one tablet, which is the screen, and two controllers slide onto it, uh, which makes it look kind of like a Wii U gamepad. And I'm fine with that. I feel like that's a pretty good idea. But it starts becoming a problem once you consider, you know, how is how would more than two people play this? Would they have to bring two extra controllers just on their own? And another question comes in of, will the console be able to will would the console even be able to handle four uh, players at once?
um, I would imagine on the home console it would. Definitely, I think. Otherwise, because they're probably gonna release a Mario Party for that, and nobody wants to play Mario Party with only two people.
Yeah.
So I would imagine definitely there would be home console multiple controllers, but that's interesting. Adding like three or four.
Hmm.
That might be a cool add-on that they could sell. Like a thing that you could attach to it that would hold extra
Yeah.
controllers.
Yeah. Um, and in the trailer, we see different types of controllers, right? We see the new replacement for what is quite essentially the Wii U gamepad, and the replacement for the Wii U Pro controller. But we don't see a replacement for the Wii remote, aside from the little slidey thingies. Um, so I'm wondering, do they still have motion tracking, or are the Wii remotes being replaced, and would we have to go buy new ones?
Um, I don't know. That's an interesting question. So, you're asking if it's still having motion tracking, like you can still use that stuff.
Yeah.
Because they might not do that. They might make it a bit more, like a regular console and get rid of motion tracking altogether.
But that's kind of the selling points of the Wii, but then again, it's not the Wii, so there's a lot of room for speculation here. And I've been using the word speculation a lot, forgive me, but
Yeah. Maybe we should speculate on why you use the word speculate a lot.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Speculate all you want, but you aren't gonna find anything.
Well, maybe I'll speculate on how much I'll find.
Hmm.
Maybe we'll just shut up and stop saying speculate for a second.
Yeah. Anyway, back on topic. Um, about the Switch.
Hmm.
So the Switch and its controllers. Will we see that a few Wii U games or Wii U like games are coming onto the Switch, right?
Hmm.
And I'm wondering, if there's backwards compatibility, would the motion tracking still have to work? Well, it would have to work for some games, and that's why I'm wondering, can it work?
That's the thing. It's like we're speculating things based on other speculations. Like we have to build things off of each other that we don't even know in the first place, which is
Yeah.
where this is starting to get a bit messy.
Hmm.
So,
And conversations like these is what drive like the insane uh, imaginations of people who think like, oh, the Switch is gonna be so good, or it's gonna be awful. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, who even knows if the Switch will have backwards compatibility?
Like everyone's just saying, oh, it looks like it does, but who knows?
Hmm.
Because Nintendo confirmed a version of Breath of the Wild for Wii U, right? But who knows if that's just a port or an actual Wii U game, right?
Yeah.
Because at this point, Nintendo's a big company. I can see them making two versions of the game, and they have made two versions of a Zelda game before with Twilight Princess. They made one for the Wii and one for the GameCube,
Yeah,
and
and it's
one
happened.
had motion tracking and the other didn't. So I'm kind of seeing the same thing that I did back then.
It's happened before with other games, like The Last of Us was on both the PlayStation 3 and the 4.
Yeah,
So what
I'm
they
gonna
might
bring up
do is
an example that you definitely wouldn't know, but
hmm
Arc System. They're a famous fighting game maker, right? And everyone they made games for the PS3 like a lot, right? And their famous game series Blaze Blue was on a ending note, right?
Yep.
Um, but this was when the PS4 was, kind of starting to kick off. So people wondered, am I gonna have to buy a PS4 to finish this entire series off, or am I gonna be able to keep the PS3? They made two versions, one with better quality, which well, arguably better quality, just better frame rate and stuff like that. No lag spikes for the PS4, and one just for the PS3 for people who didn't want to buy an entirely new console just for that game.
Mhm. Yeah, that's sort of. There always is a bit of an awkward transition between
Console
console
generations.
generations, yeah.
And PC doesn't have this because it's everyone has a different PC.
Hmm. Yeah.
So there's not really a divide, or there's not really a big set divide than that consoles have.
That's the weird thing. There's the PlayStation Pro that came out, and
Oh
some
yeah, that
games.
some people
Yeah, some
yeah, some people
games
say
ran
that's some people say that
worse.
it's like the what Sony is trying to do is that they're trying to pull off like a PC uh, perspective or PC trans. They're trying to make their console more like a PC
Yeah.
essentially.
The thing is, the people who programmed it didn't think it like it was a PC, and they made the in the second versions of the game, the quote unquote upgraded versions. Some of them ran worse than they did on the original PlayStation,
Really?
and yeah,
'Cause this is my first time hearing about this.
yeah. This is just because they didn't know how to program it. They were just the people that were normally programming for the PlayStation 4 and consoles. This was the first time that they really had to do something like this, and so they were just clueless, and they ended up screwing the whole thing over. And
That yeah, I guess this is another thing that hasn't been taken into account by us, more or less. Are people going to be able to program for the Switch as easily as they did for the Wii and the DS? Because that's kind of why they succeeded. They were easy to program for, and there were obviously many games for them.
yeah, and they weren't very powerful, so you didn't really.
I feel
Yeah.
like this is a conversation that kind of occasionally comes up in the gaming community, but not as often as it should, right? Better specs don't, or let me rephrase this. Better specs can put pressure on a developer to make a game look beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Instead of using, and lower specs can put, kind of force the developer to make the game look beautiful with those specs. So that's why we get stuff like Toon Link, um, and that's why we get amazing graphics in games like Call of Duty and stuff like that. But the problem I have here is not people who aren't experienced with making these beautiful, huge landscapes that you know really impact the player's experience. They just end up making kind of human-like models, and I'm not talking from a AAA perspective. I'm talking from an indie perspective. So, what's your stance on that situation from a
I
developer?
I think another thing about this is was also with better specs, people focus more on graphics and power, but it also can decrease focus on gameplay. Like back in the NES days, they had crap to work with, so they really had to make sure that the games were fun over what they looked like.
Yeah,
And
and this comes up in the gaming music as well. Do you remember the Mega Man 2 theme, or the Mega Man songs? They were really like popular among gamers, right?
mhm.
Well, one of the reasons why um, music from that era is so impactful is because they had limited space for music, so they had to make something really good with a limited amount of chords. So you got something that doesn't have a lot of background and just has to sound good by its own.
Yeah, this is gonna get a bit off topic, but I just kind of feel passionate about this subject. Music in art forms like movies and video games, I feel is kind of widely underrated, especially in movies. Like, music can completely change the tone of an entire experience.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at, like, movies or games with really great music, and then you take that music away, the immersion, it's not nearly as good. It kind of sucks, really.
I mean, a few people take this example to the extreme, and I don't think that's the way we should be teaching this. It gets a general idea across, right?
Hmm.
But it doesn't go into the mechanics or more detailed parts of what this means. So, I don't know, what's a very influential what's a very famous scene in movies?
In movies, I can't give you a particularly famous scene, but I can give you some good ones. Like, a good scene in the Harry Potter movies was, I think, it was the third movie.
Oh wait, sorry, I got an example, which would be it doesn't
Okay.
really take a lot of background to know
Well,
about.
yeah, but this also doesn't. Basically, there's this scene in the Harry Potter movie where this Harry
Well,
is
I've never seen the Harry Potter movies, so.
Yeah, I can still explain it. Basically, there's this crazy wizard bus, and it's flying everywhere, and it's going super fast, and everything's hectic. But, like, if you stop and listen to the music, that's really what makes it intense. Because if there wasn't music, then you just see a bus swerving and then Harry moving around a little bit. And that's what it would be.
Yeah. Um, and excuse me for using my own example in this, right? Um, you know the Space Odyssey, 2000 Space Odyssey, right?
I've heard of it, I haven't seen it.
You know the famous thing that's like blah 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 da
Yeah.
da.
Hmm.
You know that, right?
Yeah.
Um, so that's the scene where the main character gets turned into a baby and just flies through space. It's hard to explain, but it wouldn't have nearly as big of an impact as it did if it was like replaced with Mozart or something, right? Because it still has a kind of similar sound, right? But just by changing that music, it can the viewer kind of gleans a different message from it.
Wait, I need to bring something up. You haven't seen the Harry Potter movies?
No, I have not.
You need to
Harry Potter just never intrigued me that much.
trust me. It will. The
All right,
books and the movies are fantastic, and now I have to show you them.
all
I
right. Well, I'm n- I'm not a big guy on wizardry and stuff like that,
No,
right?
trust me, you will still love it. The
Um,
characters are delightful, the story is tense, the music is amazing. They are masterpieces.
if you say so.
I say so.
But I'm not gonna read the book first because that's just how I stand with the whole Harry Potter thing.
Yeah, if you want to watch the movies before reading the book, but I need to invite you over and watch the
Yeah,
movies.
I'm up for that.
Yeah, we got a break coming soon, so let's do that.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people like Harry Potter, so I guess it can hurt to watch them in a social way, like just to bring up a conversation as well.
Yeah. But maybe we'll talk about that next time and see how they're perfect masterpieces.
Yeah. Anyway, getting back onto topic with um not the Nintendo Switch. I say going back on topic and then I want to go immediately go off topic. From a developer standpoint, we're still on music, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm not. A few people will know what this series is. Probably no one who watches this podcast will know what it is. But there's an indie game in Japan that's been successful for like 20 years, right? Well, more like 17, but you get what I mean.
Hmm.
It's been really successful in Japan for a long time. And the gameplay isn't anything special. It's just a regular shmup, right? Um, but the music in it is what drive the fan base, right? Because take away the music and it's just some regular old shmup, but put the music in and it kind of immerses the player into thinking, yeah, I'm actually dodging bullets here. Um, and I thought that was very interesting when I
Yeah,
was playing.
exactly. Like music, I feel it's underrated because people usually don't notice it,
Yeah,
but when you take it away, they absolutely notice it.
it it's just if it's a good if it's a good pair, right?
Mhm.
You shouldn't notice it. But if it's kind of iffy, like if it doesn't go together that well, then I feel like that's where you should think. I gotta make this blend in to the point where the viewer or whoever's playing my game wouldn't notice it.
Yeah, it's sort of like it kind of reminds me like how if you have a fan going in your room and then you don't notice it, but then when somebody turns off that fan, it's clear as day. It's sort of
Yeah,
that same thing where it just sort of blends into the background and makes things
better.
with the fan, it makes things seem more peaceful, but with music, it can make it feel much more immersive.
Yeah. Um, and this is a little off topic, like everything else we've been saying in this podcast. Um, the, the guy who made the game, right? He's very cool with everything that happens on in the fan base. He supports everything, and people sell things with like the game's name in them, right? And the fan base kind of just assumes that they had no part in the actual making of the game, right?
Hmm.
Because that's just how that weird fan base works. Um, and the guy the guy who made it acknowledged several bands who just make covers of his songs,
Hmm.
and they make an actual living off of
Oh
those.
wait, I think I need to stop this real quick. Just I'll pause it.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
we'll be back in a bit. Wonder how many crocodile legs could. Never
Okay,
mind.
so we're back. We still have the crocodile legs in there.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna need to go in a little while. Uh,
Hmm.
is there any finishing statements you'd like to give?
Uh, I would like to say that I would like to summarize what happened during our entire podcast, and so we talked about how music affects any form of media, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And we also talked about, from a developer standpoint, how what might the Switch be useful for, and
Absolutely.
so thanks for tuning in. This has
Uh,
been the dumb podcast that we do occasionally
uh,
and never talk about to our friends.
have a nice day and go screw yourself.